On this episode, selling, closing, and decision makers. Hey everybody, welcome back to the quarter show. We've been a little backed off on, backlogged, I should say, on getting these out. So I apologize because we've been busy doing other things. That's the excuse I have for you. But anyway, here's the show. Here's the thing I want to go over. If you're going to be, sales is essentially three component parts, right? Like you have to, in order to master sales, you have to master how to sell. And you have to master how to close, but something a lot of people don't talk about is getting to the decision maker. You have to master being a tactical artist at getting to the decision maker, and this is going to completely destroy your sales if you cannot filter and clarify and get to who that decision maker is. If you can't spend your time dealing with the people who have the authority and have the power. And now depending on the sales cycle and how big your sales cycle is and how many people are involved and things like that, there could be a lot of people that are involved. There could be influencers. There could be a lot of people. There could be people who ultimately it's their baby, it's their project. But there's almost always one person that has the authority to either approve the budget or sign off, and it's utterly vital that you get that person on board and you have some communication with that person somehow. You have to have that person as part of the cycle. And if you can't do that, you could be great at sales, right? Like you're good at the sales part, you're good at working it all the way through. You could be apparently a good closer, but it's very hard to be a good closer unless you are an expert at tactically getting to and knowing and identifying the right decision maker to make it all happen. And a lot of people are very weak in sales on the closing part. They can sell up to a point, but when you have to shift over to closing, it all kind of falls to pieces. And a part of the reason why they're terrible at closing, or why they have trouble closing, is because they have trouble identifying and understanding how to get to the decision maker, identify the decision maker, and get that person on board. And I've seen it over and over again. So it's important to kind of understand and look at when you're selling, how do you get to the decision maker? Really map that out. And at what stage? At what stage? Is it later? Is it when you're asking and you're essentially you've worked with this one person who really doesn't have the power to take it through and doesn't have the power to sign off and has to go get approval from someone else? Is it at that stage? No.
What's funny is that literally while you were talking, the deal that we were talking about just a moment ago out there, they just signed off.
Nice.
And last couple days, I've been talking and texting and emailing to the not decision maker. Mm-hmm. And so just this morning, I talked to the decision maker on the phone, mm-hmm. and 10 minutes later, it signed off.
Yeah, it's fascinating because look, here's the thing. Here's one of the reasons. You don't want to ruffle feathers, right? You have to make relationships. You have to make friends with people. It's like there's a lot of people that are in the sales cycle, and you have to keep good relations with those people. You have to, grant those people their importance in their role and allow them to do their role. But at the same time, right, you have to, like, the decision maker has to be on board. I mean, for Richter, for example, I'm the decision maker here, right? Like, for anything that's monetary, anything that we're buying, I decide on that, right? And I don't know how you're going to close Richter unless you close me.
Yeah, and the thing about granting importance to people and things like that, it's an odd thing, and I've become a master of disaster in this area of like incorrectly doing it. I'm quite good at what I do. I do a lot of great business, etc. But this has been a sore point for me, which is part of the reason why we're doing this show. The thing is, in that process, if you go too far and you don't have a decision maker, what I found is that you run into the problem of you're actually overriding their beingness.
Yeah.
You're not letting them, you're not granting them importance if you wait too long in the process. Because now what you're saying, to a degree, and in different ways, you're saying to them, you can't get this done. You're not important, obviously. I'm just going to go to the person who can get this done. Get out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your post isn't essential. These conversations you say you need to have aren't essential. These meetings that you talk about aren't essential, right? Instead of at the very beginning, where you go, you can grant a lot of importance, and then with some or no awkwardness, find out who
Make a move there. By the way, he's touching on an important point. This should happen in discovery, okay? This should happen in discovery, which is at the beginning of the sales cycle. You need to understand and you need to map out how you're going to identify and how you're going to get the decision maker at discovery. If you take it to asking, the probability of that situation getting explosive or creating upsets will dramatically increase. And it's like, if somebody has security clearance for door 1, door 2, and door 3, but they can't get to door 4 and door 5, and you're at door 3 with them, and you keep pushing them, you're like, to get to door 4 and 5, and they don't have security clearance to go there, they're going to get upset with you, and the situation is going to get explosive, right? And it's just one wrong step before they flip out, right? And you know, and then you try and do some other funky move because you're like stuck at door 3, and then they flip out on you.
My skills at apologizing have gone through the roof. I mean, I'm just
and you will master apologizing. So anyway, but work on how to get to the decision maker. We're actually going to make a little playbook, and maybe we'll offer it out there once we get it done and give you some tips there. Leave a comment below if that's of any interest to you. But we'll wrap it up here.